Just a month into fatherhood, my wife says she wants an open marriage. Her secret past, a mysterious neighbor, and a gut-wrenching discovery shatter everything I thought I knew. Man, you wouldn't believe the curveballs life threw at me. So there we were, a month into being parents, sleepless nights, endless diapers, and that baby smell. You know, a mix of milk and, well, more bodily stuff. Life was a blur. But hey, I was a dad, and that was pretty cool. Then one evening out of the blue, my wife Jenna, she drops this bomb on me. We are doing the usual, sipping lukewarm coffee, half watching some show while the baby's finally snoozing. And she says, I think we should have an open marriage. I almost split my coffee. Come again, I ask, thinking I misheard over the baby monitor. Static? Nope. Heard her right, Jenna, looking serious as a judge repeats it. She wants an open marriage, says she's been feeling different, needs more than what we've got. It's not about love, she says. I just need to explore, find myself. I'm sitting there trying to wrap my head around this. We've been the high school sweethearts, the perfect couple. And now this, I loved her, man. But this was a whole different ballgame. Was it me? Was it the baby? Had I missed some signs? My mind was racing a mile a minute. I felt like someone had pulled the rug out from under me. Here I was thinking, we're settling into this new chapter as parents and she's on a completely different page. I didn't even know what to say, so I didn't say much. Just nodded, muttered something about needing to think I did all night staring at the ceiling. Jenna asleep next to me as if she hadn't just turned our world upside down. The next few days were awkward. We were like those old sitcoms where the couple danced around the big elephant in the room, except it wasn't funny. It was my life crumbling and I had no idea what to do about it. But then things took another turn. Remember the neighbor I mentioned, Mr. Mysterious? Yeah, well, he's about to play a big part in this whole mess. But that's a story for another chapter. After that bombshell, Jenna dropped on me. I was a mess. I needed to clear my head, so I started taking these long walks around the neighborhood. It was on one of these walks that I bumped into him, Mr. Mysterious, as I later dubbed him this guy. He's lived a few doors down for years, but we never really talked. You know, just the usual nods and morning greetings. But that day he was outside tending to his roses. Yeah, roses. Who knew? So I'm walking by, lost in my thoughts. And he calls out, tough times, huh? I'm taken aback. How does he know? I force a smile, thinking it's just neighborly small talk. But then he goes. Marriage is like a rose garden needs care, or it withers. I stop in my tracks. It's like he's reading my mind. We get to talking. He's got this calm way about him. And before I know it, I'm spilling my guts, the open marriage request, my confusion, everything. He listens, just nodding, his eyes never leaving mine. Then he starts talking, giving me this advice. But it's all riddles and metaphors. He says things like, sometimes the path you're on needs a detour to get to where you really need to go. I'm like, what does that even mean? But the way he says it, so sure and wise, I can't help but ponder over his words and get this. He knows stuff about me, little details. How I used to play guitar in college, my fear of height stuff, I never told him. It's eerie, but also, I don't know, comforting, like he's been watching over me or something. Every day I find myself drawn to those chats. He's always there. Same time, same spot. Like he's waiting for me. And every day he drops these cryptic nuggets of wisdom. Look beyond the horizon of your troubles, he'd say. Or the heart's compass rarely points in a straight line. I start looking forward to our talks. They're the only thing that makes sense in my topsy-turvy world. But it's weird, right? This near stranger suddenly becoming a confidant. Anyway, things at home are still strained. Jen is caught up in her new freedom, barely home. And here I am finding solace in cryptic advice from a neighbor who knows too much. Life's strange man. Well, they got me thinking. Maybe I didn't know Jenna as well as I thought. So I did what any confused husband would do. I turned detective. It started with small stuff, digging through old photo albums, reading her old diary. Yeah, I know. Not cool, but man, I was desperate. Nothing much there. Just typical teenage angst and stuff about her college days. But then I hit pay dirt. I found this box tucked away in the back of our closet. Inside there were letters, photos, stuff I'd never seen before. Pictures of Jenna with some guy looking cozy. Love letters, not written by me. My heart's pounding as I'm reading these, feeling like a total idiot. Turns out this guy was Jenna's college sweetheart, someone she never mentioned. The letters were all lovey-dovey, full of plans for the future. The last letter, though, was different. The guy was moving away. Wanted Jenna to come with him, but she didn't go. This got me thinking. What if Jenna's request for an open marriage wasn't about me? What if it was about this long-lost love? So I did more digging. Social media stalking, talking to some of her old friends under the guise of planning a surprise party. Clever, right? And I start piecing together this other life. Jenna had one she buried when she married me. Turns out she never got over this guy. He was her. What if? And then the kicker. He moved back to town recently. Bingo. It was like a puzzle coming together, but each piece was a punch in the gut. My wife, the woman I thought I knew, was practically a stranger. I confronted her with what I found. She broke down, admitted everything, said she loved me. But always wondered what if. She thought an open marriage might let her explore these old feelings without losing me and our daughter. Man, talk about a gut-wrenching revelation. I was angry, hurt, lost. But at the same time, it was like a weight lifted. I finally understood it wasn't about me or us. It was about her unresolved past. So there I was. My marriage in shambles, my wife longing for another man. And through all this, Mr. Mysterious is still there offering his cryptic advice. Sometimes the hardest paths lead to the brightest destinations. He'd say, I didn't know what my destination was anymore, but I knew I had a long, hard path ahead. Dear readers, I hope you're as hooked on this journey as I was living it. Before we dive into the next chapter of this rollercoaster story, I've got a small favor to ask. If you're enjoying this tale of love, adventure, and unexpected twists, how about showing some love? Hit that like button to let me know you're on board. It's a simple click for you, but it means the world to me. It's like a virtual high five telling me to keep the stories coming. And hey, why stop there? Go ahead and hit subscribe to trust me. You don't want to miss what's coming up next. Subscribing will keep you in the loop, so you're always the first to know when a new chapter drops. Plus, it's a great way to support the storyteller on his quest to keep you entertained. So take a quick second to like and subscribe. Done. Awesome. Now buckle up and let's jump back into the story. The next chapter is waiting, and trust me, you don't want to miss a beat of what's coming up next. Alright. So we're at the point where I've just uncovered all this stuff about Jenna and her past. My head's spinning and I'm like a pot about to boil over. I had to confront her, get it all out in the open. So one evening I wait for her to come home. She walks in all tired from her day and I'm just sitting there. This box of her past life on the table. Her eyes go wide when she sees it. And I can tell she knows what's coming. What's this, Jenna? I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. She starts with the, oh, that's nothing. But I cut her off. Don't I say just don't? Then it all comes pouring out. She admits to everything, the old boyfriend, the letters, the feelings she never resolved. I'm sitting there listening to her spill secrets like they're confessions, and I'm trying to keep it together. It's like, I'm hearing about a different person, not my Jenna. She's crying now, saying she never meant to hurt me. She just didn't know how to deal with these old feelings. I thought I could have both. She says, explore my past without losing my present. I'm torn, man. Part of me is furious, feeling betrayed. The other part, well, it kind of gets it. We've all got what ifs, right? But acting on them, that's a whole other story. The air is thick with all this emotion and I'm struggling to breathe. I tell her I need time. I need to figure out what all this means for us, for our family. She nods, tears streaming down her face. And I just walk out. I spent the night wandering the streets, lost in my thoughts. I end up at Mr. Mysterious' place, the only light on in the neighborhood. He's there as if he's been waiting for me. I tell him everything. And he listens, that same calm look on his face. Sometimes the heart needs to break to let the light in. He says, I'm not in the mood for riddles, but his words, they kind of make sense. I head back home as the sun's coming up, feeling exhausted, but clearer. Jenny's there asleep on the sofa waiting for me. I don't wake her. I just watch her for a while, thinking about all we've been through. Man. Life's complicated. Love's complicated. I thought I had it all figured out, but turns out I'm just as lost as anyone else. My late night rose, tending cryptic advice, giving neighbor. Turns out he's more than just a guy with a green thumb and a knack for riddles. The day after that emotional showdown with Jenna, I'm back at Mr. Mysterious' place. We're sitting in his backyard surrounded by those roses. He cares for so much and I'm pouring my heart out. I'm talking about Jenna, the open marriage thing, my feelings, the whole 9 yards. Out of nowhere, he goes, I've been where you are. I look at him, really look at him for the first time. There's something familiar in his eyes, but I can't place it. He starts telling me a story, and dude, it's like listening to a mirror of my own. He loved and lost, been betrayed, gone through a rough patch, just like me, but he found a way to move on, found peace. How I ask, desperate for some of that peace myself. He smiles this sad, but knowing smile and says, by letting go, by understanding that some things are out of our control. Easy for him to say, right? but the way he says it, I believe him. Then he drops the bombshell. I knew your father. He says, my father, the man I barely remember who passed away when I was just a kid. Turns out Mr. Mysterious and my dad were close friends, like brothers. He'd been keeping an eye on me, sort of watching over me from a distance ever since my dad died, mind blown. It's like all the pieces of a puzzle falling into place. The familiarity, the knowing too much about me, the cryptic advice. It all makes sense. Now, this guy, he wasn't just a neighbor. He was a connection to my past. To my dad. We talk for hours. He tells me stories about my dad's stuff I never knew. It's like he's giving me a piece of my history back, filling in blanks I didn't even know were there in his advice. It starts making more sense. He's not just spouting riddles. He's passing on wisdom stuff. He learned the hard way stuff my dad would have wanted me to know. I leave this place feeling lighter than I have in weeks. It's not like all my problems have vanished, but I've got this new perspective. You know, like I'm not alone in this. I've got this guardian angel, this link to my dad, looking out for me. Life's still messy. And Jen and I, we've got a long road ahead. But for the first time in a long time, I feel like I can handle it. Like I'm not just stumbling in the dark after all those heart-to-hearts with Mr. Mysterious. Or should I say my dad's old buddy? I'm seeing things a bit clearer, but while I'm finding some kind of peace, Jenna's world, it's starting to crumble. First, it's her job. She's been so caught up in this find herself quest that she's slacking at work. One day she comes home, eyes red. And I know before she even says it, she's been fired. I'm not going to lie. Part of me wants to say, told you so, but what good would that do? Then her friends start drifting away. Turns out this open marriage thing wasn't as cool with them as she thought. She's venting to me about it. And I'm just sitting there thinking, welcome to my world, Jenna. But the kicker comes when her old flame, Mr. What If, turns out to be a total jerk. He's not interested in rekindling old love. He's just looking for a fling. He's heartbroken realizing she's thrown away so much for a fantasy. I watch all of this happen and man, it's a roller coaster. I'm torn between feeling sorry for her and feeling like it's karma. She sees how much she's lost and she's desperate to make things right. She starts talking about fixing our marriage, going to counseling, trying to be the family we were supposed to be. But I'm hesitant. Can you blame me after all that's happened? It's not easy to just open my arms and say, sure. Let's start over. Mysterious. He's still there with his advice. People change, but so do feelings. He says, think about what you want, not what you're supposed to want, man. If that isn't the hardest advice to follow, I'm watching Jenna trying to pick up the pieces of her life. And it's like watching a movie. Part of me wants her to find her way back. But another part of me, the part that's been hurt and betrayed, isn't sure if that's what I want anymore. It's a mess, dude, a real mess, but life's like that sometimes, isn't it? Just when you think you've got it all figured out, it throws you a curveball. After all the drama, the heartache, and the revelations, I found myself at a crossroads. It was time to turn the page, start a new chapter, new beginnings and all that jazz. So here's the deal. Jenna and I, we tried to patch things up, but it was like trying to glue a broken face back together. Sure. It kind of looks whole, but it's never the same. We decided to go our separate ways. Tough. Yeah. Necessary. Absolutely. But don't think it was all doom and gloom. Something good came out of this whole mess. Remember that colleague of mine, Sarah? We'd always been good friends, but in the midst of my turmoil, she was there for me like a rock. We'd grab coffee, talk about everything and nothing. It was easy, no drama, no walking on eggshells. One thing led to another. And before I knew it, I was looking at her in a way I hadn't before. It wasn't just friendship anymore. There was something more. She felt it too. We took it slow at first, testing the waters, making sure it wasn't just a rebound thing. But dude, it was like finding a piece of myself I didn't know was missing. With Sarah, I could be me without any pretenses or masks. We laughed, shared stories and fell for each other hard. It was nothing like what I had with Jenna. This was something real, something deep. And the best part? My little girl, she adores Sarah. They clicked from the get-go, seeing them together, laughing and playing. It fills my heart in a way I can't even describe. I started rediscovering myself too. Picked up my guitar again. Started playing at this little bar on weekends. Felt good. Getting back to my roots, doing what I love. Sarah was my biggest cheerleader. Always front row, cheering me on. Life was good, man. Really good. I was healing. Finding joy in the simple things. My days with Jenna felt like a distant memory. A chapter from a book I'd long closed. Sure, there were challenges. Divorce is never easy. And co-parenting. That's a whole other ballgame. But Sarah? She was with me every step of the way. Supporting me, loving me. So, yeah, new beginnings. It's not just a cliche. It's real life. Threw me a curveball, but I cut it and threw it right back. I found happiness, love, and a sense of peace I hadn't known in years. Here we are at the end of the road of this wild story. Man, what a ride it's been. If you told me a year ago that I'd be where I am now, I'd have laughed in your face. But life, huh? Full of surprises. So I'm settled into this new life now. And let me tell you, it feels good. Really good. There's this lightness in my steps. A smile on my face most days. Sure, there's still the occasional rough patch, but nothing like before. Sarah and I, we're going strong. She's incredible, man. The kind of woman who makes you want to be a better man. And my daughter. She's growing up so fast. Smart as a whip and happy seeing her laugh. Watching her play without a care in the world. It's everything to me. I've learned a lot. Been through the ringer, you might say. But all that. The pain, the confusion, the heartache. It's made me who I am today. Stronger, wiser, more appreciative of the good things in life. Looking back, I see all the moments that led me here. The hard conversations with Jenna, the late night chats with Mr. Mysterious, the tears, the laughter. It's all part of my story. And you know what? I wouldn't change a thing. Jenna and I, we're in a good place now. Not like before, but it's respectful, friendly even. We co-parent like champs, putting our daughter first. It's not the family I pictured, but it's a family all the same. And Mr. Mysterious? Well, he's still around. Tending to his roses, doling out wisdom. Turns out he was more than just a neighbor. He was a lifeline when I was drowning. I owe him a lot. I picked up some new hobbies too. Started hiking, getting out into nature. Clears the mind, you know? And the music. It's back in my life. Bigger than ever. Sarah and I sometimes jam together. She's got a voice that could melt the coldest heart, I swear. I guess what I'm trying to say is life goes on. It changes, it challenges. But it also gives you chances to grow, to love. To find happiness in places you never thought to look. So here I am looking forward to whatever comes next. A little older, a little wiser, and a whole lot happier. The past. It's behind me. The future. It's looking bright, my friend. Bright and full of hope.